Close your eyes here as you start to focus nice and strongly into the breath. Bringing that awareness into the body, into the present moment. Letting go of anything that's come before. Anytime the awareness starts to wander from your practice, bring that focus back onto the breath, back into the body. The gentle rise of the body with the inhale, the softening, the descent of the body into the floor with the exhale. The chin drawing mildly towards the chest to lengthen the back of the neck. And as you next inhale, reach the arms overhead. Stretching through the fingertips, have as much space as you need to between the hands to allow the shoulders to descend down into the floor. Point the toes, stretching the front of the body, and then draw the toes back towards you, extending the back of the body. From here on your next exhale, draw the knees in towards the chest. Rock lightly from side to side, releasing through the low back. There's an ease, a deliberateness to your movements. Moving slowly and keeping the breath nice and slow and even. From here, you're going to reach the hands out in a T shape, and we're going to come through our twist. As you inhale, the knees draw over to the left, the gaze over the right fingers. Staying here for one full cycle of breath. With the exhale, the knees descend a little bit further down to the left. With the inhale, there's an extension through the right side. And as you next exhale, the knees come back to centre. As you inhale, the knees descend to the right. The gaze over the left fingers. Staying here for one full cycle of breath. As you exhale, those knees descend a little bit further to the floor. As you inhale, there's an extension through the left side. And as you next exhale, coming back to centre. And now we're going to just move in time with the breath. As you inhale, the knees descend to the left, gaze over the right fingers. And as you exhale, the knees come back to centre. As you inhale, the knees descend to the right, gaze over the left fingers. As you exhale, the knees draw back to centre. And from here, we're going to take hold of the left knee and reach the right leg long along the floor, descending the leg all the way down to the ground. If that feels difficult through the low back, you can keep that knee bent as the foot plants down, and you can take this action all the way through. And from here, we're going to change the legs, hugging the right knee into the chest. The left leg descends all the way to the floor, feeling a lovely stretch down the front of the body, a compression through the hip of the leg hugged towards you, and then we're going to scissor the legs. From here, you may choose to hover the extended leg up off the floor. So we're moving through this stage by stage. If you need to drop down at all, you can. From here, if you wish, you can lift the chest towards the thigh, hollowing the belly on that exhale, and remain drawn towards the thigh as you continue to scissor the legs. Another option is to straighten the legs. So moving step by step through this little sequence. With each exhale, we hug that knee a little bit closer. The nice even flow of breath, the nice even deliberate movements. If the head becomes heavy, you can bring the hands behind the head to support it. At any time, you can descend back through the stages, feeling the core of the body really start to warm up now. And as the right leg next descends, lowering everything slowly with control back down to the floor. Staying here for a breath as you soften. And as you next exhale, draw the knees in towards the chest. Take hold of the back of the knees. We're going to rock ourselves up to an almost seated position, or come into the position however you need to, with the feet floating up off the floor. Now this is one option, otherwise you can lower those feet to the floor, particularly for your first time through the flow. And we can come through the movement with those feet descended. So I'll give you that option first. As you inhale, extend. As you exhale, curl. The next step to this movement is to lift the shins or the feet up off the floor so that the shins are parallel to the floor. As you inhale, extend. As you exhale, curl. And finally, if you wish, as you inhale and extend, you can reach the legs long, lifting the gaze. And as you exhale, curl. Take whichever option feels okay for you today. And don't feel that because you've made a choice to take the extended option that you can't drop back. At the end of that exhale, there's a real hugging, a hollowing, as you take one more little squeeze. Really moving in time with the breath, balancing, warming up the core. As we next come through that curled position, we're going to remain there. You can drop the feet to the floor if you need to. Otherwise, the shins come parallel to the mat, the hands reach long. And the hands are a little bit wider than the shoulders as you inhale and reach around to the left. Staying here for a cycle of breath. And then returning to center. And around to the right. And back to center. One more time either side, around to the left. Remember those feet can descend. And back to center. One more time to the right. And back to center. From here we're going to take hold of the back of the knees, cross the ankles, come down through a cross-legged position. Come onto hands and knees however you need to. If you can, fold over the feet. Then do so. Setting up the palms directly under the shoulders, the knees directly under the hips. And from there we're going to lift the knees, bending the elbows, lower all the way down to the floor. The top of feet connect. The forearms connect, the palms connect to the ground. And then as you inhale, drawing down through the glutes, lift the gaze. Coming through Sphinx pose, a lovely stretch through the front of the body. And then lower the forehead to the mat, bringing the palms back to the center of the ribcage, tuck the toes, and press up onto hands and knees. And set yourself up. And hands and knees first, and then we're going to come through some cat-cows. As you inhale, lift the sit bones, lift the chest, lift the gaze slightly, broad across the chest. Coming through cow, and as you exhale, rolling under through the pelvis, the belly hollows as you draw the hips back towards the heels. As you inhale, rolling forwards. And as you exhale, that drawing back, that descent. Keep moving in time with your breath. The navel drawing up towards the spine so the belly is nice and engaged, and you'll have more of a sense of that now that we've warmed up the very core of the body. And as you next exhale, drawing all the way back, the hips come down to the heels. The forehead descends to your mat, coming into child's pose. If you need to here, you can place the fists under the forehead. And if the knees are painful, you can always tuck the toes. Now in the pose, there's a lifting of the navel towards the spine so that the belly is active and engaged. The forehead is lightly touching your mat so that the body is supporting the weight of the head rather than the mat itself. The palms press into the floor and the elbows are lifted. From here, coming up onto all fours, coming down to seated. And that's a short little abdominal sequence for you today. Namaste.